So yeah, I mean, I was just sharing, hello everybody, the final guidance webcast. I was just sharing in response to a question about how I was, just talking about, life's triggers and how I get triggered. Um, some days more than others. Um, but how it's an opportunity as well, to come back to love and to see where I still value fear and judgment and blame over love. And then there's an opportunity, and Bridget just said that how wonderful to see life like that. And I was just about to respond, well, yeah, it is. And and I spend time not seeing life like that. I spend time being committed and convinced that I'm right, and that my judgment is valid. And or on the other side of it, that I'm to blame and at fault and guilty, which I think is all a part of the same cycle of mind. But then there, I mean, it is that opportunity, isn't it, to simply come back to love. And we always have that. We always have that choice, and sometimes it's more difficult to remember that than others. But I think that's the initiation of life, is simply that. Like, will I remember love? Will I remember God?
Um, I know at times when these challenges or choices or the choice to choose love or just go with that feeling, after I chose love a number of times, it almost became exciting at times, like when the challenge comes. Uh,
Mm.
because I know before me, even though it's gnarly, so to speak, but the choice of love always leads me to that peace. And and so then it becomes not even not so much thought. I just know, I just know here's an opportunity and almost do it out of I'd like to just be able to choose and do it out of like repetition because I just know this is the way and it works. And, but of course my mind has to work through all that.
It really does. It really, really does. I notice for myself that often my mind doesn't want to turn to love because it doesn't feel like that's the safest option,
Yeah.
and that it doesn't feel like love will be a safe space, or that it'd be a space that, what's the word for that? Crikey, I can feel the feeling of it inside myself with my part. It's like love is the space in which I have to admit defeat, right? I have to give up hope of being right. And then another part comes in and says, yeah, so if you go into love, that means you're wrong, right?
Mm.
Because my mind just sees things in that polarity. So it's like, if I can't be right, then my mind says you have to be wrong. And the movement into love for that part says, then you're wrong. And if I'm wrong, then I create guilt for myself. And if I create guilt, then I'm weak in the situation. And then I give my power to the other person.
Mm.
And then they're right and over me. And that feels so unsafe. It's like I couldn't possibly go towards love.
Oh,
Not like that, you know, because it's completely unsafe to do that. And I think that's a part of our journey in which we learn to hold and bring safety, enough safety into our system of mind and to our parts, that we can find a way to move towards love, even when there's that deep fear that it's going to lead to, well, often, right? The mind goes death, right? Just like going towards love is leading me towards my death, because I'm powerless in love, because I'm wrong in love, because I have to give up my rightness in love. I have to let go of my righteousness. I have to give my judgment away. So anyhow, there we go. That's that's what's that's what I've been in all morning, by the way. I'm in a good space and I'm very happy to be here. And hello, Maria. Lovely to see you. I think that's probably it for our group today, and that's very lovely. Our final gathering on the energy of guidance, and yeah, it's been a very interesting week. And coming to this webcast, I was kind of like, okay, let's get a plan, right? Let's get it nailed down. Like this is what we do, right? This is how things work in the world. We get a plan. And then we organize. So like I organize the time. It's like I turn up, I know what I'm going to be doing, and that feels safe, right? That feels good. And I was asking guidance, like, just an hour before. It's like, what should we do? And it was like, well, why don't you just surrender to guidance? It's like, okay, I'll do that. I'll surrender to guidance. What would you have me do? It's like surrender to guidance. It's like, okay, I get it. Just my little mind wants to have a plan. So there is no plan, right? There's no plan today beyond, I feel like just being in the flow and giving this space to guidance. Um, we will start with a meditation. We'll start with a meditation and a script. So I'll put that up on the screen and we'll go through the script. Camillo, Camillo, Camillo. So on my screen, I have two people from Bogota on the bottom of the screen here, Camillo and Maria there, and then we have Bridge in Wales, in
Yeah.
beautiful. I love Wales. It's so magical and majestic and
Mm,
beautiful and wet and rainy. And Sarah, are you in Alabama? Sarah, where are you?
I am in Alabama, yes.
Whereabouts in Alabama are you?
Geneva, Alabama.
Geneva, Alabama. Yeah, not to be mistaken with Geneva in is it Switzerland, Geneva? I think it
Correct,
is.
correct. But
Yeah.
our town was named after that.
I
So
can imagine. Yes. Yeah. That's lovely. So yeah, there's no plan. We're going to go through the script and the meditation today. And then we're just going to drop into what guidance wants. And we'll see. We'll see what unfolds from there. Like I wonder if we can trust guidance. Or not. And I want to say that it's really okay if we don't and we can't. And that's a part of the beauty of being with guidance in a way is that we can't get it right and we can't get it wrong. There is no right or wrong. And if we don't trust guidance one day, we might do the next. And that's perfectly okay. And maybe we trust guidance and we find out later that maybe it wasn't the best thing. That's okay. Right? Because what are we doing? What are we doing here? Right? What are we doing? Right? We are at the very most basic level of our being. We're creating experience. That's it. So right now, in this moment, you yourself are creating experience. And it really doesn't matter very much what that is because there is no right experience and there is no wrong experience. That's what we do with our mind. We make things right and wrong. And we separate energies by doing that. But we're just creating experience. And if we create that experience through trusting guidance, wonderful. And if we create that experience through trust in fear, wonderful, beautiful. It's still experience. It's just experience. You cannot get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. I think this is such an important point because often in mind we create this image, this idea of right and wrong, and we say, "Oh God, I've got to get it right." And what if I get it wrong? And so much pressure comes in on the back of that, so much, oh, weight, oh, the weight of worldly responsibility to get it all right, you know? And that whole thing is just a construct of ideas and thoughts, beliefs, perceptions in mind. That's all it is. It has no other validity, this notion of getting something right or wrong, or of what right and wrong is. It has no other validity than a bunch of ideas that we've taken on, adopted. Hi, James. And who said that these ideas were the right ones and the wrong ones? You know, a priest, a parent, a teacher. How many of those beings, how many of these people who've taught us what right and wrong are, right? How many of those are in perfect peace in their heart? How many of those people who've taught us these things are shining through their essence, the love, God and creation in every moment? So we've often adopted this idea of wrong and right from people who have no idea where they themselves have got this notion of wrong and right from. Yeah, we got it from the newspaper. It's so funny because it's all fake news, right? It's it's all fake news. It's so interesting that we experience this eruption, right, of artificial intelligence, this eruption of false images, this eruption of fake stories, this eruption of twisted stories, this eruption of, it's because it's all fake news. It's always been fake news. We just bought into it so much more 50 years ago on this planet than we do now. But the fake news is a reflection. It's a reflection of what we've chosen to believe in our mind that is false and untrue. What did Jeshua say to me the other day? He said this, and this is beautiful. He says, there are billions of worlds upon this planet. Billions. Everyone has worlds within their own mind. There are billions of worlds within this own planet. He says, and you can believe in any of them. You can believe in any of them, and you can make it real. He once said to me, look at the wardrobe over there, right? If you wanted to, with enough volition and passion in your mind, you could convince yourself that that wardrobe was your birth father, right? And you could celebrate that, and you could have a whole relationship with this wardrobe under the belief that it was your birth. Yeah, sure. People might think you're completely delusional, but you have the power and the ability to create that truth for yourself. It's a world. I can create a world. I can create that experience as a truth for myself. This is delusion, right? We call it delusion. But it's just a belief in mind. So there are billions of worlds, billions and billions and billions of worlds. He says there's only one reality. And it's towards that reality that we choose to step with guidance. And it's through the very simple practices that we've been practicing that we step towards that one reality that is true, that is peaceful, that is the reality of who you are, that is yourself. And to do that, we need to put down the worlds. We need to put down these ideas of right and wrong. We need to put down everything we've been taught. We need to put down everything I'm saying, right? We need to put down all the books we've read. We need to put everything down and just come back, because Any quality pathway of genuine spirituality should simply point you back to the quiet space within your own heart, and should make no more demand on you than that. And from there, then your own spirituality can inform you, guide you, lead you, complete you. Hello. So we're gonna enter into our 4-step process. We're gonna breathe and we're gonna join with reality, not these ideas of the world that we've received, that we've taken on, that we've absorbed, that we've believed, that we've made the foundation of our worlds. But that reality that Joshua says alone is real, that reality that is the simple essence, the spacious communion within, with ourself, with God, with love. And it's so simple, and it is so simple. And mind wants to make it very complicated. Mind wants to say, well, where's the angels with their trumpets, you know, or where's my huge experience of expansion? And, you know, why can't I walk on top of my bathwater yet? You know, it's like I opened a tin of sardines and there were only 5 fishes in there. I was expecting 5,000 for my lunch. It's like all of these things can come, but the communion with God doesn't require any of them. It doesn't require grand gestures. God doesn't require this grandioseness of experience. God simply is and asks us to join in presence, and that's reality. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to share my screen. And we'll go through the practice script. And I'll post this again for people, this practice script. I'm really falling in love with this, actually. I think it's really lovely. Breathing. So my invitation for this is to relax your body, be comfortable, right? There's no point in trying to relax the body and meditate and come into a space if we're, you know, putting the body into an uncomfortable position in order to adhere to something we've learned, right? It's just, what are we doing? Slow it down. Slow everything down. There's nowhere to get to. I think this is probably the most important part of the whole process of guidance and the whole process of coming to what's real and to connecting with love is to slow it down, because it's the space in between in which the reality is held. That's how we access it. It's the space in between. And it's much easier to find that space when we slow everything down, slowing the breath down. Deepen the breath into the belly. Oh, gosh. Oh, and you can really relax. Take your time. And rest into the knowing that there is no rush for this. There's no rush. There's no hurry. There's nowhere to get to, nowhere to be. There is encouragement to slow everything down and then slower still. We're just sending messages throughout brain, through the nervous system, through the body, through the mind, through thought, into the emotional body, into the emotional field, into the physical body. Like this is a moment to rest in the breath and slow everything down. And it's okay if there are parts in the mind that don't feel safe or comfortable slowing everything down. That's okay as well. We can simply acknowledge that. We can say it's okay. Can bring some reassurance to the mind if there are parts that don't feel safe slowing down. And that's something that we can bring awareness to and love towards. And it's great to notice where those parts might be, because they have an effect and an impact, and they are calling for safety and love themselves. We're relaxing the body from the root of the body to the crown of the head. We're relaxing through the core, through the center, just allowing everything to be as it is. Resting in the breath, relaxing the heart. Oh, relaxing the lungs, the back of the body and the belly of the body. Relaxing. And we're going to ground the mind, sinking awareness down. You might like to start with your awareness, with the focus of your awareness in the head, by the third eye, the forehead, or the back of the head, or the top of the head, somewhere in the head. Just bring a focus, a point of awareness, focus, concentration of your consciousness in the head. And we're going to sink, very slowly sink the energy down, sinking the energy down through the body. And here, this is the physical body, but also the emotional body and the mental body as well. We're sinking awareness down. And as we sink awareness down and breathe deeply into the belly and the pelvis and the root, we're welcoming thought out from the body, wherever it is held, wherever it moves from. We're welcoming thought to sink down and tracing a line with our awareness down through the body, down to the root of the body, down through the throat and the chest, sinking always down this energy through the ribs and the belly, the stomach, the intestines, through all the organs, the liver and the kidneys, the spleen, down, 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 the small intestine, down into the bowel, the pelvis, down to the root and beneath the root. Breathing down to the awareness of the root, sinking our thoughts, thinking down, gathering all thinking and thoughts and emotions and feelings too. These are the creations of our creations. These are simply movements of energy, thoughts and emotions, just movements of energy that we can bring to the earth. Welcoming love. Wrapping our thoughts in love, blessing all thoughts and sinking them down, all thoughts and all thinking, sinking down to the earth, And we don't need to think, right? There really is no need to think. There's an assumption that parts, within parts, that we need to think in order to be safe and to function in the world. And there is a truth to that. But in moments such as this, there is no need to think. There really isn't. No need at all to think. We can sink our thoughts down. And we're unblending now. We're relaxing the body and breathing deeply. And we're stepping out, choosing to step out of all parts, stepping back from all parts and stepping out from all parts, releasing awareness, consciousness, ourself from all parts, releasing ourselves. Stepping out back into the space behind all parts, the space around all thinking. Stepping out of mind, out of the world, out of thinking, into the space prior, the space before. So we're sinking thoughts and stepping out. We're sinking thoughts down and we're stepping out of our parts. Blessing everything and stepping into the space before all thought and before all parts. And finding space within. Then we're going to breathe and simply abide in the space within. And if thought comes, we can simply usher it, welcome it down to the root. And if parts come and pull us into thinking, pull us into experience, we can simply say, no, thank you, I love you, and step out and back, asking all of our parts to give space at this moment to self. Unblending from self. And we can simply ask into the space if self has anything to share. Is there anything that mind would benefit from knowing? Maybe there's a question that you want an answer for in some way from some part of your mind. Whatever it is, whatever you're welcoming, simply relax the body, come into space, allow your question to form and drop it into your heart and listen and notice. You can't get this wrong. And conversely, you can't get it right. You're just allowing an experience to unfold within. And there's no obligation, there's no requirement upon you in any way to act upon guidance. You can simply observe and witness and experience whatever your experience is. And whatever your experience is, you can make it right because that is the power that you have simply by acknowledging it's only an experience. If the mind is busy, it's okay, it's just an experience. Whatever is, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything about who you are. It just means that this is the experience you've chosen to create right now. That's all it means. And that's okay. And if there are parts that come in and want to make the experience wrong, then that's fine too. That's just another part of the experience. These are the cogs and the wheels in the mind of the world. And we've all played in the world. We're learning how to unlearn the means of creating the world and return to the simplicity of the knowing of reality, which is not something we need to create or make, because reality just is. And it is the field of quiet spaciousness that holds infinite potential, that we can create within whatever we want, however we want. Now let's drop this in as well now as we sit in our guidance and ask guidance, whatever that might be for you. What would you have me create in this moment? What quality of energy, what experience in the body, what feeling state, what thoughts would you have me think? What would you have me know as an experience? And then what would you have me share of this experience? And we're just exploring in the infinite field of mind that we have been given. We're just exploring different experiences with guidance, just playing with this. It's not serious. It's not serious. Oh, hmm. We're going to take a couple more minutes simply to breathe and relax with this, and then you have an opportunity to share a little bit about what's arisen, what's coming up, what the experience is. You can have a little look as we practice the art, and it is an art. Navigating our own mind is an art. We can understand the structures of psyche in terms of parts and their roles. And it's good to have an understanding of that, but the navigation is an art. Navigation of mind is an art form. And art requires practice and skill. And just as you would not expect to pick up a paintbrush and be able to recreate a Rembrandt or a Da Vinci, you cannot expect to be able to navigate our own mind successfully as an art form without practice. It takes skill to know the medium of mind, to get to know our parts, to get to know the way that our mind functions, to get to know all of the little places. So I'd love to hear anyone's experiences of this movement towards guidance, towards self, towards reality. Maybe it was challenging, maybe it was easy, maybe you received something, maybe you didn't. It doesn't matter. What matters is the acknowledgement that we're just creating experience. When I asked my guidance what quality of energy and what thoughts they would have me think and create with, the quality of energy was peace. I wanted to experience peace. Peace in my heart. Hmm. And there was a desire then to share that. There was a desire to extend that peace, to offer that peace in words, in energy. And that peace grew in me as I offered it. And it was very beautiful. And that was my experience, amongst others. Mhm.
I could share a little bit.
Bridget.
So I think the thing that I felt about was when I asked Spirit what did they want me to experience or something, it felt like to the choice. It was like the power of choice,
Mm.
power to decide uh, for reality, I suppose. That
Mm.
I don't know. There's just something lovely about thinking that the mind is so powerful that it can make that choice whenever
Mm.
it wants to, sort of thing. Um, yeah, and there was just like this feeling of being offered a bowl of light. I just saw being offered a bowl of light and drinking the light and being
Mhm.
having the light go through. But, yeah.
I love that.
Oh, you're very nice. Yeah.
I want a bowl of light.
Oh, oh, sure, they've got lots of them.
Well, I think I might just do that. I might just take a moment and maybe we'd all like a bowl. Who'd like a bowl of light? Yeah, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Let's all. I wonder if whoever was guiding Bridget in that moment to offer her, but would you offer us all a bowl of light? So I hold my hands out and I receive a bowl of light and oh, mm, oh, that's very beautiful. Hmm. Thank you, Bridget, for bringing that through for us all. Hmm. I like that. Did you want to share anything else, Brid? Oh, thank you. Oh, hmm.
Mm, I'd like to share.
Thank you, Maria.
Um, for me, I, nothing appeared. Like I would describe today experiences like difficult, but then that's a label, but just feels like that. Like I woke up, I mean, it just feels like hard because I woke up at 5 um to be with like a group that we're meeting, also kind of uh Israel right now. It's called like living practices.
Uh-huh.
So it's also about like opening and breathing. And I woke up so stiff and stressed. And I was in this group and I was like so tense. And then I did like breathing for like 20 minutes. And then I did like a prayer for 30 minutes. Like in the name prayer, I think also Israel knows. And I just feel so like this feels so contracted. And I feel there's like a huge block and I cannot like get past through it. There's like so many um, edges of myself coming up, and there's not even anything to do because it's Sunday. It's like not, it's not like I have to work or do anything special. And so then I went to have breakfast and then I came back again here to meet you.
Okay.
And still like it's a bit like frustrating that I can not feel the connection, just like this hustle in the mind, like There's something with like lack of forgiveness of my father, and yeah, just things like frustration with some things in my life. And then at the end, I just like fall asleep.
All right.
Just
Yeah.
not sure what to do with all this like tension and block.
Mm.
I've just been trying to like not judge it and breathe into it, but it's difficult when you don't feel, when you feel like, I don't know, separate.
I
When you
totally
don't
get
feel
that.
that like communion
Mm.
and you just long so much to feel supported and to feel like that guidance there, that connection.
Mm. Mm. Thank you for sharing that, Maria. I really hear you. Sounds like deeply frustrating place to be right now. And I know how you feel at the moment. I want to invite you, if you can, to give yourself and all of your parts and your whole system permission to be just how it is. Just to say it's okay. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot coming up. And there's a lot of parts that are trying to fix other parts. And I hear you that there's like a big block at the moment. And I want you to just, if you can, give that block permission to be there, just as it is. Just as it is. And the parts that don't want it to be there. Okay? The parts that don't want it to be there and that are trying to hit it with spiritual practices over the head until it just does what it's told, right? Yeah. So we're going to give those parts permission as well, just to be as they are. All right. It's okay. The system of your whole mind is okay as it is. We're going to bring reassurance, okay? The energy of reassurance into the mind. And that's what we're going to create, okay? We're going to create permission and reassurance to every part in your mind. You're going to wash through the system with reassurance. You're safe. You are safe. And you are supported in this. And I know there are parts that don't feel supported. And I know there are parts that don't feel safe. But right now we're creating a feeling of safety for them to be in. All right. Just for now, we're not going to try and do any spiritual practice. We're not going to try and do any spiritual work. We're not going to try and do any healing work. We're not going to try and do anything at all. We're not going to try and change the system. All right, we're not going to try and change anything at all. We're going to take all that pressure out of the system. Just going to draw all that pressure out of the system. It's just taking all of that pressure out of the system, right? Yeah, it's okay. And I know that there are parts that just want to keep doing and getting it right. I know that, and they're okay as well. We bring permission to them. We're also asking into the system. We're broadcasting through the system with love and compassion. We're broadcasting through the system. We're sending a message out through the system just for now, for these parts to step back and pause. Okay, we're asking the parts in the system to step back and pause and just to relax back. For now, okay, just to step back and create a little space in the system because everything's become a little bit too much. Right? It's become a little bit too much. And the system itself, the system of your mind and your body has become flooded with all of the feelings and the thoughts and the emotions of these parts. We're just asking for space. That's all, just a little space, just to allow this emotion to move. You are safe. You are held and supported in this. And we're just stepping out. We're just stepping out of these parts. We're stepping out of the parts that are saying how to get it right. And we're stepping out of the parts that are saying that you've got it wrong. We're stepping out of these polarities. We're stepping out, not to abandon these parts or to reject them, but so that more love can come into the system, so that more light can come into the system in the space that's opening up a little bit as we're asking parts just to relax back. It's okay. It's okay. You can just let me know what's happening in your system. If you want to, you can just feedback a little bit what's going on in your experience.
Well, I just feel like a very tight knot in here that it's so strong. It's like so tight. So it's almost like a dagger that is like cutting.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Maria. Oh, can we bring an acceptance to this? Just a field of acceptance and allowance to this experience, this tightness, this dagger-like experience in the throat and the neck. I can imagine that there are parts that are afraid of this. I can imagine that there's fear in the system. We're just going to ask those parts to step back a little bit and create some space. And the invitation right now is just to give permission for this to be here. Nothing is happening right now that is harmful to you. Okay, it's very important to understand. You are safe. I'd like you just to open your eyes, Maria, and just have a little look about your room and just say to yourself, I'm safe. Just orient yourself in the space, just looking around, saying you're safe. Right? You are safe. You're really very, very safe. You're safe in that space, and you're safe here with us as well in this room. Okay? You're safe. Yeah, good idea. It's a very good idea. I like that.
Oh.
Little bunny rabbit. Yeah, that's great. That's really good. You're safe. Nothing bad is happening. Okay? There may be a memory surfacing in some way, but that's just the past. It's not now. Okay? What's happening now?
I don't know, it's too much energy.
Okay. That's it. It's really good putting a hand on your heart there. It's really, really good. Just reassure yourself. Again, it's safe. Energy is safe. Energy moving through the system is safe. There's nothing here that's harming you. Okay? There's nothing here that can harm you. And there's nothing here that will harm you. Okay? You're safe. All right? Energy moving is safe. It's okay. It's moving, it's clearing things, it's opening things. This is a safe movement, okay? You don't have to be afraid of this, okay? Emotion moving, it's safe. There might be parts of the mind that are uncertain and go, oh my God, is this really safe? I don't like this. This is new, or this is too much, or whatever. And I understand that, of course. But that's just a part in the mind. Your soul knows that you're safe. Yourself knows that you're safe. I know that you're safe. We know that you're safe. Okay? Now, I invite you to sit simply in that knowing that you're safe and that energy can move and sensation can happen and you're safe. That thoughts can happen and memories can come and you're safe. All right?
I think it was like an energy coming, like felt like from another life or something, like a very strong state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can understand that. And those energies can feel very, very strong in the system. Those energies can feel so strong because it's the energy of a lifetime or an intense experience that's been held in the body in some way that's opening. You know, you obviously welcomed a lot of light and energy into your system today, and it's opening. This is what light does. It opens places where we've held and contracted against it. You know, so this is an opening, and it's safe, and you're safe in it. I promise you that. Hmm. So I would love to invite you simply into remaining in the experience of safety. And even though you have parts that may be afraid, it's okay because you are safe. No harm will come to you. Is there a tiger in your room? Or a crocodile? Just check. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I don't think that one poses too much of a threat, right? You know, I I I think you're gonna be all right. I know you're gonna be all right. I know that. It's a fact. Okay. So unless there's a wild animal that eats people in your room, which I don't think there is, I'm gonna promise you that you're safe. Okay. All right. Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your process and your journey with us, Maria. Any other shares while I drink some cold tea? Woefully disappointing. All right. So we're going to have a little break in a minute, and then we'll come back. I don't know what for, but we will come back. But before we go, I want to share. I've got some other things coming up in the near future. I've got a 2-hour workshop later in the month on grounding and grounding the 4 bodies, which is a beautiful process. It's a meditative process of grounding the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body, and really opening our energy to connect with Mother Earth, or Amagaya, as I call her, and the benefits of that, and talking through the benefits of that, and in fact, the necessity of that in our spiritual journey. I've also got a Way of Mastery support call group starting up as well, which will be on a Friday evening, which is just for people to drop in. We'll meditate, spend some time with Jeshua and the teachings, and just hang out, and that feels like a really nice thing. And then in August, I've got a 10-month course starting called Becoming Christ. And that is a course. I'm just finishing a course in June called Deliberate Creator. And that's been a journey through the axioms and the keys of Jeshua's Way of Mastery pathway. And it has been utterly life-changing for me. And I believe for others, I hope for others as well. And that's a 10-month immersion, like dropping really beautifully deep into Jeshua's teachings. And that's a monthly subscription on that one. So if anyone's interested, that will be coming out soon as well, and will be an amazing journey. I mean, the last 10 months has been extraordinary. So, yeah, and then Lauren and I have a retreat coming up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in November as well, which is working with embodiment practices around sexual education, really de-shaming the body, coming into innocence and neutrality around our body and our sexuality. So that's a beautiful, and again, a very necessary, energetic in the journey of awakening. So I just wanted to shamelessly plug my upcoming things before we go. And we'll come back here at 17 minutes past. We'll take 10 minutes and we'll come back here at 17 minutes past. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. Well, those bodies that are back, and those souls too. All right. So again, we're just going to go with the flow. I think that we won't be doing pairs work today. We won't be going into rooms. I want to maybe have some space for questions. I think coming on the back of the course at the end of the course, just in case there's anything that people feel they want to clarify. We'll have some space for that. Camille's straight in there, just bang, I got a question.
You know me is
I do. You are a man of
this
many questions, and I love you for it.
hard-hitting spiritual journalism. So, so one thing I just
That's brilliant.
so right. So for me, this is like a massive subject because we touched upon before that you might even listen to guidance and then realize it wasn't the best thing. You just kind of said that.
Mm-hmm.
But I always have had the belief, or maybe it's the hope, that like once you got in touch with spirit and actual guidance and well, let's put him in there, and Yeshua as well, like he's always saying that he's available for everyone and whatever, that somehow one would sort of get it always right. And I don't know what that means exactly.
Yeah.
But at least right in the sense of spiritual development, like right in the sense of like whatever guidance will bring might not be what one of my parts wants, but it
Yeah.
will be what will lovingly bring me closer to love, right? That's at least what
Absolutely.
So how, I don't know what the question even is now that I think about it, but how I guess it's relating to truth, right? So what would be the what would be the intention of the guidance that we receive? I guess that's the question.
I think it's a really good question, Camille. And it's a very interesting one, right? And it has many facets to it. Coming onto this call, I was kind of like, this course could be 3 or 4 months long, and we'd still be scratching the surface in a way, you know? I think that when I said that guidance, we might find it's wrong or not, there can be so many different elements that come in, and really the whole essence of guidance is coming into communion with a form of intelligence, a source of intelligence that is greater than the separate aspects of our part's mind that just have a very closed perspective. They have a very limited perspective on what they can see. And so from the part's perspective, they may well have a very clear understanding of what's right and what's wrong, generally do. They have a very clear understanding of what they want and what they don't want, what they like and what they don't like. And they don't have that whole picture. And so their guidance would be very limited to what's best for them, right? And that's not necessarily what's best for the whole system. And as you say, it's like, what's the intention of the part? The intention of the part will be to protect the system from what it's hiding, generally. That's generally what's happening there. So its guidance is always going to be around that. And then getting in touch with genuine guidance without those parts influencing that's the skill, right? That's the art that we're talking about. The art is getting into a space where we're no longer so identified and attached with parts that have a very specific understanding of the outcome that they desire, indeed need, to see happen, and they will go to great lengths to have their outcome come true. And guidance is another field in which they can learn to influence, manipulate, coerce, etc., etc., etc. But true guidance, as you quite rightly state, can never be wrong. It can appear wrong to parts. It can look wrong. Parts can create the feeling of it feeling wrong. You know, this again comes down to the art of coming out of parts. It's really the art of unblending, you know, which is the art of disidentification. You know, Jeshua says that all of our suffering, 100% of our suffering comes from identification. And really, this is the movement out of identification. It's what is seek ye first the kingdom within. Seeking first the kingdom is the disidentification from the world, right? Because the world is not the kingdom. And so we need to come out of the world. We need to come out of our parts. We need to step back and out. We need to create the space within. That's what the kingdom is. The kingdom is the space within. And it's within that that we can come to genuine guidance. Now, genuine guidance can look like complete bonkers nonsense to the world, right? Because the world is diametrically opposed to the kingdom. It's the opposite of the kingdom. It's the opposite. So that guidance can often seem a bit strange. And put on top of that, right, very often the movement of true guidance doesn't necessarily lead us directly to peace, because the awakening journey and process is one by which we essentially come to realize within the foundation of our parts that what they hope for, they can never have. So it's a bit like continuously going up to a small child within at Christmas and saying, Father Christmas isn't real and you're not getting any presents this year, right? That's how parts take the journey. It's like, we know what we want, right? We know what we want. We want sex, we want money, we want fame, we want friends, we want all of these things, right? Because that's where we're going to feel the most validated, the most approved. That's where we're going to feel whole. That's where we're going to feel like we're successful. That's where we're going to feel all of these good things, right? And of course, as anyone who's had sex or money in their lives or any of these things, it's never enough, right? It's never enough. It's like, okay, so yeah, I've got £5,000 in the bank, I wish, right? And I've had sex 3 times today, you know, and it's like my part the next day is like, oh yeah, I think we need some more money and more sex. And so it goes on. It's like it's on and on and on. You know, at one point I had to take my part and say to it, look, you know, what you're going to end up needing, right, is to be continuously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in sexual intercourse with a woman in order to feel safe, right, and comforted. And my part was just like, oh, and I was like, that's not practical, right? That's not a practical solution for getting what you need, right? But what he really needed was comfort. What he really needed was comfort. And guidance would come in and would create situations in which that part, his needs were not met. Right? Christmas was cancelled and there were no presents for the little boy. And he's devastated, right? So there's a transition phase. There's a transition phase whereby that part then comes to find the source of love from within. There's no longer trying to get from the world, right? This is the difference, right, between special relationship and holy relationship. Special relationship is where parts go out into the world to try to get. Because special relationship is where we look within and find lack. I lack comfort, therefore I need someone to give me comfort. Okay? So that's the foundation of special relationship. In terms of romantic relationship, it's I need XYZ. I need comfort, I need support, I need to feel loved, I need to feel cared for. Therefore, I need to find somebody who's going to give me all those things. But of course, we come into that connection. That person might magically fulfill that for a few months or weeks or days, and then we're kind of like, hang on a minute, I'm not getting this anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not a sustainable source. And we have to go through that process with all of our parts, of having our parts come to recognize and realize within the structure of their own beingness that their hopes are forlorn, that their seeking can never be fulfilled. And essentially, one of the reasons for that, I wrote about this the other day, one of the reasons for that is that the foundation of that part of mind is lack.
Mm.
And at the foundational layer of mind is what the world reflects. So the world reflects lack to that part that is desperately trying to satiate its sense of lack through the world. Right? So the part's like, I need the world to show up like this. And the world is like, I'm going to reflect to you your need.
Right.
and your lack. So it can never work. So therefore the part has to come to the recognition, the realization that it can't find what it needs from the world, therefore it needs to come from it. And guidance will always bring us to that. And so often guidance is not what the part wants at all. Often the guidance is the opposite of what the part wants. But spirit and guidance work it very, very cleverly until the big whack will only come really when we're very ready for it.
That's what I was gonna say, because sometimes guidance will, let's say, allow for the part to have its way so that we can learn what comes by way of having that.
Absolutely.
But then there's a time when then like spirit goes, okay, I mean, we've tried this, like let's take this one level up or whatever. Yeah. No, I think I resonate with what you just said 100%. It feels like true guidance is, and this might be really true, like the father stepping in and then going, okay, let's really get clear about what's happening here, and start to integrate some maturity into a system. And I don't know if that's the correct word, but it sometimes feels that way. And obviously, like a little child with Christmas, you don't want to let it go, That's the
Well,
other thing.
exactly. I mean, the thing is, right, that our parts are already deeply traumatized.
Right.
That this is where it becomes very nuanced, right? Because our parts are deeply traumatized. You can't just go up to a child and say Christmas is cancelled. That's fucking brutal, right? You can't do that. So
Right.
how do you get a small child to accept that Christmas is cancelled? Like that, and that's the delicacy and the balance that has to be struck in mind. Because if that balance isn't struck, we just re-traumatize our parts.
Absolutely.
And this is the art. This is the art, not just of seeking guidance. This is the art of healing. Right here. And it takes infinite patience and compassion and understanding and acceptance and allowance and
Trust.
trust, massive trust. Massive trust, because essentially we're saying to the child, Christmas is cancelled, but there's something much, much better right here for you, but you can't see it. It's invisible. Right? And that's why Jeshua says in the first chapter of The Way of the Heart, it's it's the insanity of coming to trust the invisible more than the visible.
It's quite a journey, my friend.
It's an incredible journey to navigate these minds. It's a profound art. And we are the artist, and our mind is our canvas, right? And we've already been painting for so many lifetimes, and we come in and we're trying to make some sense and order out of this abstract, you know, Picasso-esque image, you know, that we've been drawing, so that it becomes a cohesive representation of God.
Well, that answers my question.
I think the beautiful thing to remember at this point is that that whole process and that whole journey is God.
Wow.
Extending herself through creation. And there's nothing that we need to do, because it's all being done. So the pressure's off. We can just watch the healing unfold through us. Has anyone here ever experienced healing? Right. Okay, so we've all witnessed the process of healing occurring through us. We're just playing a role. We don't even know we're playing that role most of the time. So really, we can just relax and it's all good.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Yeah. Bridget.
Yeah, thanks very much for another lovely summary. I love that overarching view. That really helps me in terms of just the whole journey.
Yeah.
And what I was sort of feeling was well, in terms of like just the healing journey, how like, you know, bits of things have fallen away, fears have fallen away over the time, you know, and it sort of feels like, you know, like the core things just become more, they're still there. And it's just interesting to see. It's almost like come down to two things now that I'm really are in my face. And it's so lovely just to hear you say, you know, I think there's a part of me so identified with the fear of it. I think one of them is like, well, some kind of persecution fear. I feel like I've got to be very, very nice and very, very polite, or else it's sort of like, yeah. So there's this like cluster of things that the you know the mind still believes the fear. So
Yeah.
it's just lovely to hear you say, you know, just to be reminded, it's like it's not, nothing in the world is going to make me feel safe enough. I'm going to scramble around to be as nice and polite as I possibly can. Could be do that forever, but I'm never going to feel I get the safety I need from that behaviour. So
Oh.
yeah, I wanted to say thanks for that. That's really helpful.
God,
Yeah.
I love the way you express things, Bridget. There's just such a clarity to the way that you express things. You've just, you know, you can take 100 of my words and put them into 10 and it just makes perfect sense. So
Oh,
thank you so much
oh,
for that. And what a profound truth. Like what a profound truth.
oh,
What does Jeshua say? I was in communication with Jeshua this morning and going through some things in relationship. And here's the interesting thing, right? He said to me, he said, it's all about safety. He was talking about a relationship dynamic. He said, it's all about safety. And all the time that you project a need, or that I project a need into this dynamic, whatever it is, you know, any relationship, with anything or anyone, like what you're talking about, anytime I'm seeking for that energy of safety, I will never know it,
right.
because I'm coming from that place of lack. And the other being is obligated to reflect back to me what I am saying that I lack. I'm saying, give me safety. And they're saying, I'm going to reflect your need that's underneath it, right? I'm going to reflect back to you that lack of safety. And he said, when you can come to ground into your own knowingness of safety within yourself, he says the dynamic of relationship will become the safest place on earth, but you will have no requirement for it to be so.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's lovely.
And it's safe because I will have no requirement for it to be so.
Right.
And then there's no need for it to reflect to me my lack of safety. And that's why it's safe.
Mhm.
No longer is that other one bound and obligated in their role as soul to reflect back to me what I need to see of my own unconscious.
Okay. Yeah.
And then through me grounding into my own safety, I also set that other one free from the role that they're obligated to play for me. That the truth sets all things free.
Ooh. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question.
Yeah, sure.
So do you think like maybe we can be quick with this if it's possible, but if the part is programmed like a computer program to produce the experience of lack, so it sends the witnesses into the world, or it finds witnesses in the world that will sort of reflect back what the core programming is. So how to depolarize the part would be, is it a reprogramming of the part, or is it a way in which that lack can actually be filled through correct or direct connection with self?
What is it that's lacking?
I believe, I believe. Like it's I think it's a choosing of the mind in the end to award energy and reality to a belief.
Yeah, I think I agree. And the belief is what? What's the foundational belief?
In the end, I think it's sort of a habit, I guess, at this point, but the creation of an experience, like the experience of lack and the belief in that, and that sort of gets old after a few thousand million billion gazillion times,
Or not.
or not.
The belief that is foundational, and as Jeshua says, there's only one illusion, right? There's only one illusion. And the belief, that belief that is foundational is that illusion. And actually it is the birth of experience, that illusion. It is the birth of experience, and it is separation.
Mm.
That's what's at the bottom of it all, is the belief that within the part there is a knowing of separation from creation and God. And that's what creates lack, right? Because as immediately you're separated from the whole, you're not a part of the whole anymore. And if you're not a part of the whole anymore, then you are in lack. And therefore, if you are in lack, then you are in need. And if you are in need, then you must get. This is the foundation of survival. So the healing of that is union. So we need to come to the foundation of the part's belief in lack, which is always separation, and reintroduce the knowingness of communion with God.
Holy smokes. Mm.
And then what could the part possibly need when it's in wholeness? What could it need? And therefore, if it has no needs, it's not in lack, it doesn't need anything, it doesn't need to get anything from the world. Then the world is free of the need to reflect lack. And the world can simply show up in the reflection of divine abundance and wholeness. Oh.
Yep, that sounds very, very eloquent and
Tempting, hopefully.
tempting. No, it sounds simple. That's what I like, because it sounds,
Yeah.
I know it in the end, when you're in the thick of it and you're going through things, but the reality of it is a simple, straightforward connection of
Absolutely. When we're embodied with the part, things appear very confusing.
right.
I mean, infinitely confusing, and we can just because it's like being in the middle of a storm. Like it's like being in the middle of a storm, and the clouds are down. You can't see the horizon. You know, maybe we're at sea. There's big waves. It's chaos. It's mayhem. Like how on earth? And you've probably got a 3-year-old, right, trying to steer the ship, you know, and you've got a 6-year-old who's trying to deal with the sails, and none of them have any training in sailing, right? And the wind is howling at like 100 miles an hour, and the ship's all over the place, and we're trying to get a grip on what to do, and the 3-year-old's just like crying, right?
Mm.
And we've got this expectation that this crew of small children is supposed to be able to navigate us out of this storm, and we're lost in it because we think we are this crew of children on this ship. And the ship desperately needs a captain, right? And that's who we are when we can find our way out of blending, merging, and identification with the children on the ship. And then we can help them to steer a course. But if we're in blended identification with them, it's really frightening, right? It's really scary. Like the illusion of separation is terrifying and should never be underestimated in that way. It's horrific. And the parts that have to navigate it in ourselves and everyone else are infinitely worthy of our compassion and love because of that, regardless of their behavior. And that's easier said than done. But yeah, time to unblend and plot a course to the calm, still waters of heaven within, right? And keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Keep doing that and keep doing that and bring love and compassion and bring healing and bring remembrance of the infinite field of beautiful creation that God is, and that is love and that is light, and it's present here and now, and that we always have the capacity to remember the truth of that and to welcome that into our system, to welcome that into the waters and the storm and the ship and the children within us. Like God is welcome here, you know? Finally.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Camille. We've probably got time for another question. If there's another question, then we can do that. I feel like we've
I have a
covered some
question.
ground today. Maria.
Yeah. It's like, well, I know the steps of the guidance, which is the breathing and relaxing. how do you suggest we go when, like, mm, like I'm thinking me at work and I feel I don't imagine myself in the storm. That would be a good one. I felt I'm like in the middle of the forest and that I'm like blinded and I feel like this. So I just feel terrified because I really don't know where I'm going. And then what you were saying is just like there are so many things I don't even know where to begin. And even though I do like the breathing and trying to ground, there's just not enough like time at work to do it because now I have class and I'm like in panic and then like how do you suggest we go with it in moments where I mean sometimes to really like relax, calm down and I don't know. I might take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, which I don't really
I
have.
really get that.
And in
Yeah.
that moment, I just want like something that will help me remember like what it's all about, all of these like ideas about what could be done and could help like spiritual practices come to my mind. And I'm just like drowning and I don't even know what to grab onto and I don't know.
Mm. Thank you, Maria. I think that's something we can all relate to. I know I certainly can. Um, I think that there's no easy answer to this. I would say that it's good to be realistic with ourselves, right? It's good to be realistic and say, you know what, there's probably no hope in hell that right now I can connect with guidance. And I'm all right with that. And it's just about getting all right, becoming all right with that. I have it often if I'm very emotionally charged with something or something's going on, I know I can't connect with guidance. And I know that. And it's like, I'm not even going to try. Because what generally happens is I'll try and I'll get in touch with the guidance, but I don't know whether I can trust it or not because I'm so emotionally charged and I'm so committed to an outcome. And it's just like, and then I'll be with that guidance and I'll be like, and then another part will come in and I'll just confuse myself and I'll tie myself in knots about it. So I think it's really good to be aware that there are times when it's just not realistic to be coming to guidance. I think that if we want to manage our system a little bit in times of crisis, then we can simplify everything just down to something like 3 deep breaths and a simple affirmation. Like 3 deep breaths into the belly. I'm just going to slow the breath down for like it's going to take me, this whole process might take me 30 seconds, right? I'm just going to breathe really deep, like take the deepest breath. I mean, the deepest breath, like until you're like, I cannot breathe in anymore, and then let it out slowly, and do that 3 times. And I'm just going to say to myself, like, I know I'm really activated right now, and that's okay. And I allow myself to be just as I am. And I'm going to remember that God is present even now, or that love is present even now. And I wouldn't even begin to try and connect with guidance at a time like that. I think we can say to Spirit and God something like this. We can say, hey, you know what? If there's a moment of genuine crisis, right? If there's an emergency, like a genuine crisis and emergency, I give you, God, Jeshua, Mary, whoever, total permission to break through all my defenses and communicate directly with me, right? And you can just have that set up in your life. It's like, yeah, if there's a genuine crisis, of course, from their perspective, there probably never is a genuinely crisis. I'll lose the body, get another one, you know? It's like it's like It's a very different outlook and perspective, right, from where we're at. But it, you know, it can be reassuring to know that that's in place. But I think it's a brilliant question, Maria, and I definitely suggest that it's just it, you know, it's not worth trying to get guidance outside of the context of actually having space to get it and being genuinely self-honest and aware. I think that that's a big part of what this course is about as well, in terms of just looking within and going, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to connect with guidance in the middle of this, you know. Or there can be like, you know, yeah, I'm willing to give half an hour. I'm willing to give 10 minutes, you know, and I'm gonna look at this script, right? And I'm gonna read the script and I'm gonna go through it and I'm gonna breathe and unblend and sync the mind or whatever works for you, right? And I love this image of the woods. And how would it be, you know, if you were to take some deep breath and then give reassurance to yourself in the woods and say, I'm just going to float up above all these trees and have a look from up there for a little while, right? And maybe I can see a path. Maybe I can see a clearing in the distance that I wouldn't have been able to see if I'd remained down there. Because you are the infinite power of imaginative creativity, right? Like just because you're having a vision doesn't mean that it is immutable. It's a vision in your mind, right? That you can do anything you want with. So it might be that, or I don't know, if you're feeling more destructive, you could get a chainsaw and just take all the trees down, you know, whatever works for you, right? It's like you can play in your mind with these things, with these images. And these images can be very effective when you start manipulating them. It's like, no, I'm taking control and power back. I'm gonna float above these trees and fly like a bird, you know? Hmm. Okay. So I'd love to receive feedback at some point, whatever that is. You know, if you've had a terrible time on this course and you know you're just like, what the hell? Like who the hell do you think you are? I want to know. All right, I want to know if you've got questions, queries, judgments, gripes, complaints. I'd also love to know if you've got praise, you know, compliments. Like if you've learned something, share that with me, please do. And of course, if you don't want to share, you don't have to. There's no, you know, it's fine. And I love testimonials at the moment as well. You know, I'm wanting to share this work wider. I wanna grow what I'm offering and welcome more people into this field of experience. So I know testimonials can be really helpful for that when they're genuine and from the heart, you know, and less so when they're forced and obligated. So if you have a genuine testimonial from the heart, then please offer that in and let me know if you're happy with me to share it with your name or initials or whatever. And that'd be very helpful. Um, yeah, I think we're nearly done here. Oh, is there anything left to say? Just to recap, right? You can't get it wrong. And it's really helpful to bring lots of reassurance into your mind and to your parts around that. And it can be fun to play with guidance. It can be fun to play with spirit. It can be fun to play with yourself in your mind. You know, in terms of asking questions, in terms of getting curious, you know, what questions could you ask? What do you want to know? What might be revealed? and give space and time. The great, oh, how rushed are our minds? How busy does it get? Right? And how difficult it is to find a space to truly hear. And really that's the biggest message, is to slow it down, clear mind and space, unblend, and enjoy finding, searching for connection to what is essentially yourself, right? And you'll know when you're in connection with that, because there's a simple, spacious presence of love and compassion and ease and grace. And we've all felt it. We've all felt it. At some point in our lives, we have all connected with the reality of ourselves. Even if only for a moment, we've all felt it. So you have access to it. It's not like it's denied you. It's not like you've been singled out in the whole of creation to have no access to yourself and God, right? As much as some of our parts would love to believe how special they are, that they themselves have been completely denied the reality of God whilst other people have it. That's just nonsense. You have access to it because you have experienced it before, and we can experience it again. And within that is access to infinite and divine intelligence. And practice makes perfect, as my dad always used to tell me. Oh. Well, if you want to unmute yourselves, and we'll have a little goodbye. If anyone wants to say anything before we go, any goodbyes or comments?
Just thank you to everybody who was in the workshop. Honestly, I had various moments that were very, very profound, and thinking about ways that I hadn't thought about before, and it's always so nice to remember that we're all, in a way, we're living the same challenges. So thank you everybody.
Now, beautifully expressed, Camille. Thank you.
Yes, I just thank everyone for opening up and sharing. Where I live, there's not a lot of common, this isn't a very accepted type thing, and it's harder to find people that I relate to, and that I can be open and honest and share. And so it's really, I felt such a beautiful connection in just the honesty of being open and listening. So thank you everyone for just sharing that and being present. It's been great. It's been great.
Thank you, Sarah. That's beautifully expressed as well. You really share in all of those sentiments, and the experience of connection and of being in the heart and presence is beyond all the words, right? And all the teachings and everything that we do and say and all of that stuff. Really, that's the essence of it all, is connection in the heart with ourselves and others. And that's precious. Thank you.
Beautiful. I also wanted to thank everybody for being here, and even the ones that are not present. Like I never really like expressed it, but everyone's share really touched me. Like, you know, maybe because it's only one mind, but like everybody in their unique ways, there was always something I could really connect to, and that I felt so grateful, like being able to really see each other as we are and holding each other in this like love and in this even sometimes turbulence and like journey of each of us. So all of you, really thank you. And to Israel, beautiful. Like I really felt, I mean, more than, you know, the structure of the course or whatever, is just like your genuine path is what really fills these meetings with the true essence or with the true soul that can like resonate and vibrate into our hearts and like awaking the tiny parts, comfort the fearful parts, excite the parts that are like have given up. So I feel it's really like your unique connection and devotion and everything that you've really worked upon yourself. When it just flourishes, it makes the best like flourish in us as well. And it's very reassuring to know there are people who have gone through like all of the hell loops, all of the suffering, all of the pain, and that with this constant and compassion and tender and sometimes fierce dedication have been helping us bring like this love and realization of Christ and making it like more and more possible on this beautiful earth. So thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, it's really beautiful to receive. I wanna just say that I am on this journey with you all. You know, we are on the same journey. And I never want to present myself as somebody who's ahead or beyond, because I'm not. And that's the reality of it, that I show up here in the way that I am, and yet I still have my journey that I'm on, and I certainly get lost in my parts and sail through the stormy seas on a regular basis. and and so it's beautiful to hear what you say, and I can feel that there's deep truth in what you say, and I do acknowledge that, and I also want to affirm and assure everybody that I would love to be able to say that everything that you said was completely true, and I would say that what you've said is true, and there are some caveats to put in there as well about my relationship with self and others.
But that's the beauty of it, you know, that we're not expecting that you are like already fully enlightened. It's just like
Yeah,
authenticity of your path. It's what actually makes this possible. Otherwise,
thank you. Thank you. I think that there's something infinitely connecting about vulnerability and honesty. And I think that when people present themselves in a way in which they may be afraid of being vulnerable because they're holding a position or a role, I think they miss out on the potential for true connection with others in the group. And I think that's terribly sad. That's terribly sad for the group, but I would say it's even more sad for the person who's having to hold that image of themselves as if it was a reality. And I think that I see that in teachers And I'm very, very grateful that I can see that. And I have my own journey to go with that. Okay, Maria, thank you so much. God bless and goodbye. Yeah. Oh. Okay. We're gonna have to go at some point. I never want to leave. It's so nice. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being on this guidance course. I've learned, as ever, I've learned so much. I can have kind of an idea in my mind going into something of what it is that we're exploring, and then, as ever, it expands and it expands and it expands, and it takes on a life of its own. I totally, I love these spaces for that because I'm always, as I say, I'm always surprised at what is learned. It's like one thought will lead to another, will lead to another. There's a flow of love and guidance through it that does the teaching, really. It's not me. I just show up in a sense, and then I get to watch and then interact with others and hear questions and respond and move with the group. And then the whole wisdom, it's like the collective field of us generates this outpouring of wisdom that we can all share in and experience and learn and grow through. And that is my experience of every workshop that I do. And that's a great joy because there's a great joy in learning. And I'm learning a lot. So thank you to me and to each of you for being willing to show up and let love do love's thing. So yeah.
Thank you, Liz.
You
Thank you.
hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye. Much love. God
Bye-bye.
bless.